I have a very serious word once again today. Amen. And I want you to listen to me as I give you the word of the Lord from the Gospel according to Luke chapter number 6. Luke's Gospel chapter number 6. Go with me to verse number 45. You find these words there. A good man out of the good treasure of his heart brings forth good. An evil man out of the evil treasure of his heart brings forth evil. For out of the abundance of the heart, his mouth speaks. Let me talk briefly from this subject today. All is not as it seems. All is not as it seems. In this day and time, we see pictures of seemingly perfect athletes and many muscular men who tragically and suddenly drop dead of a heart attack at a relatively young age. And it causes us to come to grips with a sobering truth, and that is that a person's physical makeup doesn't always reflect the health of his or her heart. To assume too much about a person's cardiovascular health from simply observing that individual's physical abilities can be fatal. And you probably know someone whose idea of a well-balanced meal is a box of Krispy Kreme donuts chased down with a six-pack of Diet Coke. And his heart, however, seems like it is miraculously in mint condition. Like a fine switch watch, we think it just keeps right on ticking, no matter how much it's abused or neglected. But behavior isn't always an accurate indicator of what's going on the inside. I found out that when you have a heart problem, you don't necessarily know you have a heart problem. Sometimes there are no noticeable symptoms, and when there are symptoms, they may appear to be unrelated to the cardiovascular system. But some people are fortunate enough to discover they have a heart problem during the process of trying to find relief for these symptoms. Amen. But heart patients rarely begin their medical journey with a cardiologist. Generally speaking, people just don't track down a cardiologist until their family doctor recommends they do so. Now, our bodies are uniquely made by God to give us distress signals when things aren't right, like flares against a clear night sky. These signals warn of impending danger. Signals that shouldn't be ignored, but these signals need diagnosing. And they can easily be misread and misinterpreted by us. And sometimes what we think is gas could be a signal that something else is going on in our bodies. And when you open the scriptures, both in the Old and New Testaments, you find a similar concept related to the health of your other heart. And your other heart being that intangible part of you that loves, part of you that hates, that part of you that palpitates and melts at the sight of certain people or certain things. And the Bible attributes a great many evils to this other heart. Things we would normally not associate with our hearts at all. Like the man who habitually reaches for the Malanta when his cardio indicated or induced indigestion, wakes up, we tend to reach for remedies to address our symptoms without ever really dealing with the root problem. And so the symptoms never seem to go away. For example, imagine for a moment with me that you've purchased a home with a large peach tree in your yard that yields an abundance of peaches each year. So abundant, in fact, that the peach tree cannot bear the weight of all the fruit, and your yard becomes a sea of peaches. Normally that wouldn't be a problem except for the fact that every time you walk through your backyard, you come into the house with mashed peaches stuck to the bottom of your shoes. Stay with me, I'm taking you somewhere. And even worse, when you cut your grass, the fallen peaches are transformed into supernatural or supersonic projectiles. Fruity missiles that target your car, fruity missiles that hit your house and your neighbor's fence. And if that wasn't bad enough, rotten peaches in the summer, you know, they smell, they attract bugs, and they kill the grass, that good grass, that Bermuda grass, all that grass you've planted in that backyard that's so pretty and green. All of a sudden, it begins to die and becomes brown because of all those peaches that's rotting on your ground. So what do? You could always grab a bucket and pick up all the peaches, and that would solve your problem for a couple of weeks, perhaps for a season. But come next spring, you'll be right back where you started. Chances are, if you wanted to rid yourself of the peach problem for good, you wouldn't opt for simply gathering up the fallen peaches. You would take a more permanent approach. You would go out there and cut that peach tree down. Yet, as we are about to see, the first approach is precisely the way we tend to tackle our heart problems. We keep picking up and apologizing for our insensitive words and our inappropriate behaviors. We swear to ourselves and maybe to the people around us that we'll never act that way again. And the thing about it is that some of us really mean what we say. Amen. But then we repeat our mistakes all over again. And we pull out our baskets and pick them up, all them old rotten peaches again, and dole out another round of apologies like, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I didn't mean it that way. I just didn't mean it, you know. I didn't mean to say that. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. Please forgive me. I didn't mean it that way. And if we're well read, we might even have a good explanation as to why it's so hard for us to break the cycle. After all, we says, you know, our parents, blah, blah, blah. Those children, blah, blah, blah. My friends, my husband, my wife, and the pressures at work, blah, blah, blah. And on we go blaming and explaining. But in the end, nothing really changes. And let me tell you, if you don't like the fruit that keeps cluttering up your backyard, And I'm talking about your life. The only real solution is to dig up the tree by the roots and eliminate the issue once and for all. For you see, if you deal with the source, the